Meow 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 meow.
So this week we're talking about Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, which is a little strange, so bear with me. So Nausicaa is this princess in the Valley of the Wind, hence the name of the title. And Valley of the Wind is like the only good kingdom left. So the entire world was kind of destroyed in this 7 days of fire where these giant mecha death human machines march across the earth and burnt everything down. Literally everything got burnt down. And then this evil bug forest took over, and the forest is full of this death pollen, apparently, that like if you breathe it you get poison, and the poison will kill you unless you're Nausicaa, because she just doesn't die from poison. Everyone else, though, wears these masks and whatnot. The forest just kind of takes over everything, but there's like these few human kingdoms left, and the three that we look at in this story is the Valley of the Wind, Nausicaa, which is like a really bad war place, and Pedjite, and Pedjite's an equally bad war place. The Valley of the Wind's a nice, peaceful place, though, and has lots of greenery, and they have a really good respect of the forest by keeping it away and burning any of it that gets too close. So that's good. So anyways, the movie starts with this guy that you don't really know. Later on, he becomes this master swordman named
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart. Oh, that's his name. That's right. And he's walking through the forest, and soon enough, he gets in trouble with some bugs. And Nausicaa shows up and saves him, because Nausicaa, however, likes the poison forest and enjoys talking to bugs as if they're sentient beings. And we'll learn later on that they kind of are. We're not like really sure. They have these golden tentacles that like speak to you. Cool. But everything else in the Valley of the Wind is pretty cool until this giant warship comes crashing into the ground and it destroys everything, and it's really bad. And Nausicaa, of course, being the main character, rushes to the scene of the crash, and the first one there, where she meets this dying princess who's enslaved, and she's a princess from Pedjite, and her name is something. And she also tells Nausicaa about that something has to be destroyed on the plane before she dies. So Nausicaa promises that whatever it is will be destroyed, and you'll learn later on that she doesn't fulfill that promise at all. However, the plane was not a Pedjite plane. The plane was actually a plane from Nausicaa, which is bad. So anyways, Nausicaan ships the next night fly in, tons of warships, and they attack the Valley of the Wind, and they kill the king in his bed, which is really disgraceful. They claim it in the name of Nausicaa. They go and they take the thing, which is like a giant beating heart. They want to take it back to Nausicaa, so they take it, and they take Nausicaa, and they take some other important characters from the Valley of the Wind, and they all hop on their warship, and they fly through the air, and everything's going great until a Pedjite fighter comes in and starts shooting all their planes down, because he's upset that, you know, his sister got stolen, because we learned later on that it's the Prince of Pedjite, and his name is Shia LaBeouf.
It is.
He shoots down all the planes and doesn't know Nausicaa and her friends are on one of them, so they go down too. They get on this little glider, and they escape just in time with just Nausicaa, her friends from the Valley of the Wind, and the super evil lady from Nausicaa. And she's interesting. Their princess, whatever. There's so many princesses. And she's interesting because she's apparently made out of metal. Like half her body's missing, like her legs are metal and
it's
her arms
armor,
metal.
dude.
No, but like she takes it off and like there's nothing there. And she says this really weird line like, you know, and my husband will see that there's even more missing. And it's like, okay, creepy and awkward. Anyways, so they crash in the forest, and that's really bad. But Nausicaa, at the forest, communes with one of the sentient bug things. That's how you learn they're kind of sentient. And she learns that the boy from the Pedjite fighter also crashed, and he's shooting up the bugs because they're evil. And they're trying to kill him because he's shooting them. So she goes and rescues him, and they discover there's a secret forest underneath the forest, and that has, like, water flowing through it. It's clean. The air is clean, and like the forest is petrified, so that's good. Basically, Nausicaa is led to believe that the forest itself is fixing the earth. So they go and they head back to Pedjite to give the good news. But at Pedjite, they find out that the bugs had attacked and the entire city is destroyed, and that's really bad. There's a really a group of men there, and they learned that these men are the reason the city was attacked because they dragged the bug army through the city on their way to destroy Nausicans, because the Nausicans have that creepy heart thing. That heart thing is actually one of the giant death machines that I mentioned earlier. So, we decide, by we, I mean Nausicaa and her friend, Shia LaBeouf, they decide that this would be bad, and so they try to stop their friends from this happening, and they fail, and there's a big fight in the air between Nausicaa and the Pedjites, and Nausicaa escapes, and she flies through the air and she warns the Valley of the Wind that the bugs are coming. So the Valley of the Wind has been fighting the entire time the Nausicans, and the forest is now encroaching through the Valley of the Wind. Somewhere along the way that all happened. Anyways, and all that happens, there's big fights, and then there's this ancient submarine that's been like destroyed, and that's where the last of the Valley of the Wind people are hiding, and they're surrounded on all sides by the Nausicaan army, and they're all warned of the coming doom, and so they work together to fight off the bugs. So that's not going to work because there's literally like an endless giant bugzoid, catapries of death. But Nausicaa's flying along and she sees like that this ship is moving along, and it's a Pedjite ship, and it has one of the baby creepy bugs has been tied to it, and there's like bombs inside of it and hooks, and it's being like bled all over the place. Tortured, yeah. And she figures out that this is basically the reason that the bugs are going crazy is because they've been torturing this little baby. And that makes sense that you'd be upset if your baby was being tortured in front of you. So Nausicaa goes to confront it, and naturally Nausicaa's way of confronting things is not shooting, but standing like this and being all peaceful while she gets shot to pieces by a machine gun. And they crash on this island, and she helps free the bug, and then the bug goes crazy and tries to enter this acid lake. There's an acid lake, by the way. And so she stops it by getting her foot caught in acid, and she almost dies. And the bug, like, notices this, and so it uses its magical healing tentacles, and they have this, like, moment, which is kind of nice. But the rest of the bugs are still really evil, and they just keep moving on past the lake to go destroy everyone else. Nausicaa gets the ship back up and running, and she gets the baby bug, and they fly across the way, and they stand in front of the army, and it looks really like she's able to stop everything. But as they're doing that, the giant death robot comes back to life, and it kind of shambles onto the scene, and it starts shooting mecha death lasers, and blowing up tons of the Caterpie monsters. And then it just dies because it wasn't ready to be born, because... yeah. So, after that, it basically, the movie then has the monsters coming forward, and they're going to overrun all the humans and kill them all. And then Nausicaa stands there in the middle and is like, no! And she has a little baby with her, and they both just get run over. And it looks like she's dead. And maybe she is? I don't know. It's a weird movie. And so the monsters all run over, and then they kind of realize that they made a mistake, and they ran over the baby and the baby's friend, Nausicaa. And so they all stop, and they do a little powwow around them. And all these tentacles come out from all sides, and they pick her up, and they heal her, and it's really weird but cool. And they're all golden, and they pick her up into the air, and all their red eyes from evil turn into blue eyes of, like, love or peace. And they pick her up in the air, and it's really important because this entire time there's been, like, a subplot that there's a prophecy that this person would come to restore peace to the earth, and that person would be wearing blue and walking along, like, fields of gold, that's it. And so she is walking along these fields of tentacle gold. And she's wearing blue, and so the prophecy comes true.
Surprise.
Because she's, like, the savior of the universe. So that all happens, and then the movie ends abruptly with the Telmekians going back to Telmekia, the Pedgites not really doing anything because they have nowhere to go because everything's dead, and the Valley of the Wind being kind of restored to the way it was, with more exploration into the forest and the goods it will bring to the earth, as nature and humanity are once again connected. I think that's it.
It's kind of a boring movie, actually.
It's kind of long and, yeah.
The end.
The end.